The old man's words. When I was young, I did not care about my future. I woke up late every day and played games all night. I had no goals and no plans. I thought life was easy and I had plenty of time. I laughed a lot and made fun of serious people. One day, I was walking in the park. The sky was grey and the air was cold. I saw an old man sitting on a bench. His clothes were dirty and his shoes were broken. He looked tired and sad, but his eyes were sharp and full of stories. He looked at me and said, "Don't waste your time. Time is your life." I was surprised. I didn't know this man, but his voice was strong and his words touched my heart. He said, "I was like you once. I had dreams, but I wasted time. Now I have nothing." I sat next to him. He told me about his past. He was smart and full of ideas, but he waited too long. He said, "Life moves fast. One day you look back and it's too late." I listened quietly. For the first time, I felt afraid of the future. After I left the park, I could not stop thinking about him. His face stayed in my mind. His words repeated in my head. That night, I could not sleep. I looked at my books. I looked at my phone. Then I made a choice. I turned off my games. I took a notebook. I wrote down my dreams. I wrote down what I wanted in life. That was the day my life began to change. The next morning I woke up early. It was still dark outside. I washed my face, made some tea, and sat at my desk. My notebook was waiting for me. I looked at the words I wrote last night. They were simple dreams, but they were real. I wanted to study, to grow, and to make my life better. I went to the library. It was quiet and warm. I picked up a book about success. The first line said, "Success needs time and work." I smiled. I was ready to work. I read the book for 2 hours. I did not look at my phone. I did not get bored. I felt good. I felt strong. In the afternoon, I went for a walk. The same park, the same bench. The old man was not there. I looked around, hoping to see him. I wanted to thank him, but he was gone. I sat on the bench and thought about his words. "Time is your life." I said it to myself again and again. From that day, I changed my habits. I stopped wasting hours on my phone. I made a study plan. I used a calendar. I wrote small goals for every day. Some days were hard. Sometimes I felt lazy, but I remembered the old man and I kept going. My friends laughed at me. "Why are you so serious now?" they asked. I just smiled. I did not try to explain. They did not understand, but I knew something they didn't. I knew that every small step was building my future, and I was not going to stop. Weeks passed. I studied every day. I learned new words. I watched videos in English. I wrote short stories in my notebook. Slowly, my English got better. I could understand more. I could speak more clearly. This made me happy. I felt like I was finally moving forward. One day, I saw a poster on the school wall. It was about a speaking contest. The winner would get a scholarship. My heart beat fast. A voice in my head said, "You are not ready." But then I thought about the old man. I thought about the bench and his eyes. I took a deep breath and signed up. Every evening I stood in front of the mirror and practiced my speech. My voice was shaky at first. I made many mistakes. But I didn't stop. I practiced again and again. I believed I could do it. I didn't tell anyone. It was my secret goal. The day of the contest came. I wore my cleanest shirt and walked to the hall. My hands were cold. My legs were shaking. I saw many students there. Some looked confident. Some had notes in their hands. I sat quietly in the back and waited for my name. When they called me, I walked to the front. I looked at the people in the room. My heart was beating fast. I remembered my practice. I remembered the old man's words. I smiled and started to speak. My voice was strong. My words were clear. I did my best. After I finished, people clapped. Some smiled. I walked back to my seat. I didn't know if I would win, but I felt proud. I had tried. I'd faced my fear. That was the real prize. After the contest, I walked home with a big smile. The sky looked more blue. The trees looked more green. I felt light like the wind. At home, I told my mother. She hugged me tight. "I am proud of you," she said. I will never forget her smile that day. 2 days later, the results came. I was not the first winner, but I got second place. The school gave me a small prize. It was not money, but it was something better. It was a free course to learn English with a good teacher. I was so happy I could not stop smiling. In the new class, I met students from other schools. Some were better than me, some were not, but we all wanted to learn. The teacher was kind. She spoke slowly. She helped us with every word. I asked many questions. I listened carefully. I didn't want to waste a single minute. Weeks turned into months. I read books. I watched English movies. I wrote in a diary every day. I used the words I learned. I spoke to myself in English. I even dreamed in English sometimes. My world was changing. I was not the same boy anymore. One evening I passed the same bench where I had met the old man. He was not there. I sat down and looked at the people walking by. I wondered where he was. I wanted to thank him. I whispered, "You changed my life." The street was quiet, but I felt like he heard me. A few weeks later, my teacher told us about a speaking event. We had to talk about our life in English. I was nervous, my hands shook, my heart beat fast, but I said yes. I wanted to try. I wanted to be brave. I wanted to show how far I had come. At home, I wrote my story. I wrote about the day I met the old man. I wrote about the contest. I wrote about my English class. My mother helped me read it aloud. She said, "Speak from your heart." I practiced every day. I looked in the mirror and spoke. I was scared, but I didn't stop. The day of the event came. I wore my best shirt. I walked to the front of the room. My voice was low at first. Then I looked at the faces in the room. Some were smiling. Some were listening closely. I felt strong. I spoke louder. I finished my story with a big smile. Everyone clapped. The teacher said I was brave. One student said, "Your story gave me hope." I felt warm inside. I knew now that my story mattered. I was not just learning English. I was learning how to believe in myself. That night I sat with my mom. We drank tea in silence. Then she said, "You have grown up." I smiled. Yes, I had. I was not wasting time anymore. I was building a new life, one word at a time. Months passed. I kept going to class. I read books in English. I wrote in my notebook every day. I helped other students who were new. I told them, "Don't be afraid. You can do it too." I remembered how I felt before, and I wanted to help others feel strong. One day I walked past the same corner where I had met the old man. I looked around, but he was not there. Still, I felt his voice in my mind. "Don't waste your time." I smiled. He was right. That one sentence had changed my life. I wished I could thank him. Now I work in a small office. I speak English with people from many countries. I help them understand things. I tell my story sometimes. They listen and smile. Some ask, "How did you start?" I say, with one small moment, one short sentence, and a big decision. Life is not perfect, but it is better. I wake up with hope. I go to sleep with peace. I try to do good things each day. I know I still have more to learn, but I am proud of how far I have come. And it all began with a poor old man in old clothes. So, if you are reading this and feel lost, don't wait. Start now. Start small. One word, one step, one moment. You never know what can change your life, just like it changed mine.